Your previous career, among other things, was in technology. What technology do you envision to make life simpler for seniors in the future? And is there a government role in making these technologies accessible and affordable?
I think the biggest missed opportunity in terms of technology's improvement of your lives is in the healthcare space. And by this, what I mean is that many of you are in areas, particularly if you're in rural areas, where you have a hard time accessing the physicians and specialists that you need because there's a real shortage of those specialists in various parts of the country. Now, we can improve that with telemedicine, with different technologies. One of the issues is that there's a medical lobby that has actually tried to restrict those innovations. If you reflect on this for a moment, why does the United States of America have a doctor shortage? It's not that there's a shortage of young people who want to be doctors, I guarantee you that. It's because they limit the supply. They limit the supply of doctors, they limit the supply of doctors in particular states through various requirements, and then if you're a doctor and you graduate, you have $200,000 in debt. The last thing you want to do is become a family doctor in a rural area because that's going to make it harder for you to pay. You see how it all fits together? So the biggest innovation we can have that's going to help is by getting people access to healthcare where they are, so they don't have to drive 70 miles to see the doctor or specialist they're looking for, and bring that medical expertise to them. And it is possible if we lighten up some of the barriers and restrictions that are in place and make telemedicine. I just met with a doctor who's at the frontier of this, and he's licensed in all 50 states, and he says there is so much more we can do if we lighten the artificial restrictions on doctors being able to access patients where they are.
Telemedicine would not be possible in parts of Iowa because they don't have internet access.
And isn't that the problem? So one of the things I'm championing in my campaign for president is that broadband should be a universal right of citizenship here in the United States. And there's a way to make that happen in rural areas. Right now, again, it's all about the almighty dollar in this country. So the reason why there's not broadband in rural areas is because the companies have done the math and they said it's not profitable for me to invest in actually laying the pipe. So what the government has to do is say, look, we will subsidize that pipe laying and then let you have the profits, and then all of a sudden, like that, we can get broadband access up to 99.8, 99.9%. It's just it won't happen if the government doesn't step in and make it worth the company's while. And this is something I would love to do as president, because there's no reason why we can't get high-speed internet to every part of this country.
In looking at your,
Go ahead, Kay.
In looking at your campaign website, you have a section on housing, but it mainly focuses on zoning, which is an issue in larger cities. There are many rural Americans who would like to live in more accessible housing or even move to an assisted living facility. They just can't afford it. How do you solve that problem?
Well, one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about this freedom dividend is that this $12,000 a year in your hands would then end up making it easier for you to access the sort of housing you want, the assisted living facilities you want. It builds an economy that's built around our needs and values. And there's no better way to do it than just by putting the money into your hands. I've been working as an entrepreneur and business person. I've run a nonprofit for the last 7 years, and I now understand how the capital flows work. We are losing in this country at an epic scale. Like the humans, the citizens of this country, we are being shut out of our own country. It's madness. And the only way back in is by putting the money into our hands and taking advantage of the fact that in this country, if you have the financial resources, then the market will come serve you, that we can actually start solving our own problems. But this is the only way, is just by putting the economic power back into our hands.
Should the Americans with Disabilities Act be updated to ensure technology is accessible? There is some accessibility standards for things like smartphone apps, but there's a lot more applications for people who might be sight impaired or hearing impaired, and they don't have equal access in our society.
Yes, we should update the ADA to improve access to various technology applications. And this is something that the tech industry is very much short-sighted on.